Hi, John. How are you?
I'm great, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this awesome movie today.
Of course.
So, I've got to say, after watching the film and watching your performance, I am curious. What did you enjoy most about playing a conspiracy theorist like Casey? And did your preparation and research take you to any particularly weird corners of the internet?
It's funny, isn't it, that up until a couple of years ago, you probably would have to do quite a lot of digging to find out about conspiracy theorists and what they are and what they do. But nowadays, conspiracy theories are so much part of the mainstream and so much part of popular discourse. They just seem to be everywhere anyway. The thing about KC is he's right and he's scientifically proven to be right. And I think that's the thing that was the joy of playing that character, the moment where all of that study and all of that obsession that he's had and people rejecting him and saying that he's crazy, the minute that he finds out that he was right, and the minute that Brian Harper, an actual astronaut, says to him, "You're not crazy, you're right about all of this, and this wasn't a waste of time," that was just all his Christmases come at once. It was the only thing he's wanted to hear his whole life. That moment of validation and acceptance. It's a beautiful moment, a beautiful human moment for Casey, I think.
Yeah, it's a great character arc for you. And of course, you also get to balance that with a lot of action scenes as well. So I'm particularly curious about that water sequence because it looked absolutely brutal to film. So what was that like for you?
It was brutal, and I'm pleased that it looked it as well, because it really really was. When you do these movies, these big effects movies, and so much of it is VFX and so much of it is green screen and imagination, and you have to imagine what's not there. But believe me, gallons and gallons and gallons of water were there that day, and they were myself and Patrick were looking out of the door of that hotel set where there was a huge ramp, like 100-foot ramp, with gallons of water coming thundering down it right at us. And even though you're safe and there's stunts around, there's stunt men around, and you're as safe as you can be, it's still gallons of water that's going to hit you right in the mush at any moment. And your heart does beat a little bit faster when you have scenes like that. So it was just nice to, in amongst all the green screen and VFX, it was nice to get my hands dirty and deal with practical effects and feel what it's like to be that character at that moment. It's a completely different discipline, but I love them both.
Yeah, I bet. And you mentioned Patrick there, and you guys have such a great rapport and chemistry in the film. So, what was it like finding that with Patrick, as particularly in the course of making the movie?
It came very naturally to us quite early on, but the pandemic didn't help, because normally you get to know people when you're having dinner, or you get to know people when you're having a drink with them. But we were in deep lockdown in Montreal, so there were no restaurants and no bars. So there was no social side of it at all. The only time we ever saw each other really was on set. So it's just lucky that I respect him so much as an actor and I like him so much as a person, and Hallie as well. The three of us had a really nice time working with each other, that it all had to be at work. We couldn't bring anything from the outside in, and it just happened to work really nicely. And it was a pleasure to act with them both.
Oh, amazing. And I've got to ask, because I know this is something a lot of our readers would like to know, because obviously someone else you had great chemistry with on screen in Game of Thrones is Kit Harington.
Yeah.
So, what do you think the odds are maybe you guys could reunite in the Marvel Universe? Now he's over there playing Black Knight.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that. Any excuse to get back with Kit would be a real joy. In fact, when I saw the Eternals trailer at the cinema a while ago, I saw Kit and I saw Richard in a movie together. I felt left out. I felt, oh, all my friends are hanging out without me, and I don't like it. So I got a little bit of jealousy there. If I could work with Kit or Richard or anybody from Game of Thrones again, I'd be chomping at the bit to do that. I'm actually working with Benioff and Weiss at the moment on their new thing for Netflix, and that's a thrill. And we're always going to be a family. I love them all so much. Any opportunity I get to even see them socially is nice, but getting to work with them again would be a total dream come true. Absolutely.
Oh, well, fingers crossed. And one final question for you. Of course, talking of Game of Thrones, that's a huge fantasy world. Moonfall is a huge sci-fi world. So I'm wondering, what was it like to enter this world of sci-fi, and what surprised you most about that?
What surprised me most was how hard it is, talking from a VFX standpoint. I've done VFX before and green screen stuff on Game of Thrones, but on that, it's a bit like they say, right, imagine you're looking out and you've got thousands of soldiers coming towards you. you can conceptually sort of know what 1,000 men look like, and you just imagine them coming towards you. That's one thing. But when you're in a sci-fi world where you've got no frame of reference for what the inside of the moon looks like, so you have to really pull that out of your own imagination. It's that complete blank canvas that Roland had to create this entire world on top of. That was it. Just the freedom of imagination. No rules, no frame of reference. You can just create whatever you want. And that's artistically very liberating for Roland, and a very sort of useful acting exercise for us as well.
I bet. Well, you guys did a great job and you really stole the show in this one. So such a pleasure to speak to you, John. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure, mate. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.